Hey, what's up guys? Frank here with another video, and today I wanted to make a video explaining why I'm deciding to cancel my Microsoft 365 subscription. And so if you're trying to figure out if Microsoft 365 is for you, or if you're thinking about leaving the Microsoft ecosystem, then this video could be for you, okay? And so later in the video, I'm also going to talk about the alternatives that I chose to keep going forward, okay? So let's go right in. All right, so the first point that I wanted to talk about is it's not about the pricing, okay? And I personally think that the software here, right now I'm on the Microsoft website, I personally think that these softwares are so cheap, okay? And I think that for the price that you pay, you get an amazing value for all of these softwares, okay? And whatever that you're trying to do, it will do the job, okay? And so for now, I've been using these softwares and I've been subscribed for a few months already. And I think these softwares are really great and I absolutely love them and they make my life easier. And so for the money that you pay here for the subscription, I think that it is an amazing value, okay? Now, the second point that I wanted to talk about is that subscription isn't ownership, okay? And just like I said before, I generally think that these softwares are really great, but ultimately, you don't own these softwares. You don't own them. These are great softwares, but you don't own them. They're not yours, okay? All these softwares that you're paying, you're renting them. Okay, and it's basically the same thing with other products like Adobe or some sort of subscription. And yes, those are great tools, but ultimately, when I see a subscription, I see it as somewhat temporary. Okay, and so if it's a subscription, I see it as temporary. Why? Because I don't own anything, and so subscription can be good on the short term, but on the longer term, I don't think it's a great solution. And yes, now talking about renting and subscription, yes, I also have a car and I also have an apartment that requires some sort of monthly payments or whatever. But the difference here is that my goal here is to build an online business, okay? And an online business is on the computer and on the internet and by using softwares. Which leads me to my third point, which is that I'm building an online business. Yes, I'm paying rent for my apartment, but I don't care that much about my apartment or whatever because I can simply change apartment without any real problem, okay? Because everything that I'm building here is on the internet. It is using softwares and I put my energy on my computer and all of that. And so my apartment, I don't care that much about renting. What I care about is softwares, computers, and the internet. And so ultimately, I need softwares and equipment that I can rely on and hopefully that I can own, because if I stop paying, then it won't disappear tomorrow because I didn't make a payment or because of some sort of contract. And so since I'm building an online business, I'm going to use softwares extensively for a long period of time, for probably many years. And then the fourth point that I wanted to talk about is that you don't really need all the features, okay? And so yes, by using these softwares, you'll be able to do whatever that you want to do, okay? Because these softwares are very mature and they have tons of feature. They have absolutely ton of feature, okay? And for example, in OneNote, yes, you can write notes, but you can also draw a bunch of things and all sort of crazy features, but ultimately, I don't really need that, okay? And so for example, talking about OneNote, in my case, I basically need three things from a note-taking app, okay? And I need to write notes using text, okay? That's one thing. And then the second thing that I need from a note-taking app is being able to put them into folders or categories to manage them properly. And then the third thing is to be able to sync them between all my different devices like my PC and my mobile phone. And that's pretty much it, okay? I don't need anything else other than that. And so, for example, OneNote coming from Microsoft has a bunch of features, but ultimately I'm not using all the crazy features, okay? And another thing that I want to talk about also is it's quite optional but quite appreciated, which is privacy, okay? And everything that I'm writing in OneNote, it's not really private or anything. And so Microsoft, I'm assuming that everything that I write in OneNote, they're probably scanning it, or they might be like spying on it or whatever. So, I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal because I don't put my passwords in there. But what I'm trying to say here is that privacy can also be appreciated, okay? And so the fifth point that I wanted to talk about is that it gives me an opportunity to support smaller companies and open source projects. Because here's the reality, okay? Big corporations like Microsoft, Adobe, Amazon, and Google, yes, they provide amazing services, yes, they provide amazing softwares, but ultimately they don't really care about you and what you have to say, okay? You're just a number to them, and so ultimately, why should I care about them, okay? They're just going to suck the money out of me, and that's pretty much it. And so I think right now that I think I would prefer spending my money, my time, and my energy on projects and companies that actually need the attention and that actually need the money, okay? And so it's a way to support smaller companies and maybe even open source projects. Because as of right now, I think that Microsoft, Adobe, Amazon, and companies like that, they are monopolies and they have an important place in the market. But ultimately, I think that competition is important. Maybe there's a way to support smaller companies or smaller projects so that they can also have their chances, okay? So this, my sixth point that I wanted to talk about is related to updates, okay? And the reason I want to talk about updates is because when you subscribe, when you have a subscription, for example, with Microsoft 365, you have access to all the updates in the future, and it's basically part of the deal, okay? That's why you subscribe to a service. You subscribe in order to have access to the service, and then you get all the updates in the future, okay? But as of right now, I am fortunate enough to have the money to pay for software, and I have absolutely no problem paying for a new version if it's reasonable, okay? But what I want in the end is being able to own the software, okay? And ideally forever, okay? I want to be able to own the software. And one of the things that I love about the license business model, okay, is that upgrading your license is kind of optional. That's the thing that I love about it, okay? And so you can choose to decide if you actually need the update or not. And so if, for example, the current version of the software is good enough for my needs, then I might not need to upgrade the license or the software, okay? Because ultimately, like when you purchase a software in any way, you don't really know if you're going to keep using it in the future. And so, because by owning the software, it allows you to own the software and simply have some sort of peace of mind. Because when you have a subscription-based model, it requires an ongoing commitment to the software. And personally, I think that I value my freedom, okay? And so a subscription is some sort of prison, if that makes sense. And so a few examples of companies that I really love right now is Affinity Designer and the Affinity Suite, okay? Affinity Designer, Affinity Photo, and I don't have Affinity Publisher, but I just think that it's great that you can purchase a license and then that's pretty cool, okay? Another software that I love is DaVinci Resolve to edit and create my videos. I think this is really, really great. Another example is Windows 7, Windows 10, and Windows 11. I mean, you purchase the license of Windows and then you own this license, and then once in a while you can upgrade if you want to, okay? But for example, my grandparents, okay, they're not very tech savvy or anything. So for them, they're still using Windows 7 with a pretty older computer, and it's good enough for them, okay? For their needs, it's pretty good for them. And so they don't really need to upgrade to a new version, so they don't have to pay anything. And other example is open source project like OBS that I use, for example, to create this video, and VLC and Inkscape. Those are great software that I appreciate. And so the seventh point that I wanted to talk about is free and open source softwares, okay? And so yes, there are alternatives that are free and open source. And as of right now, to be completely honest, I'm thinking about switching to Linux and going open source. But my only problem with free and open source software is that I think that most of the time, these softwares, or maybe these operating systems, I think they're pretty old, ugly, outdated, and they also require more technical knowledge. So that's kind of a trade-off, if that makes sense. But the thing that I love about free and open source project is that you own these softwares, you own them, and then you're free to do what you want to do, okay? You're not very limited. They give you full freedom, and then you can do what you want. So now my eighth point that I wanted to talk about is I was simply wanted to talk about the alternatives that you have for Microsoft 365, okay? So everything related to Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, you can basically go with Google free apps that you can use. Or if you don't want to go with Google, what you can do is you can go free and open source with LibreOffice. So that's something that you can do, which is free and open source. And so the next thing related to Microsoft Defender, which is basically an antivirus here. Well, if you decide to go with Linux and free and open source software like Linux, then you don't really have to worry about antivirus, because by default, Linux is very secure, so you don't have to deal with that. But another thing that I purchased a few weeks or even months ago is that I got the MonoDefense lifetime bundles here, which basically includes 4 or 5 softwares related to online security. And so, for example, there's a VPN, there's a password manager, and some sort of more advanced softwares here. So if you're looking into security, that might be something to look into, because I try to prioritize lifetime deals, okay? And so the next software in the list is OneDrive, okay? And personally, I think that OneDrive is probably the hardest software to replace, because OneDrive is so well optimized with Windows that it makes it very difficult to replace it, because it gives me a great experience, okay? But the alternatives that you have for OneDrive is first of all, you have Intern XT, okay, which basically have lifetime deals. And in my case, I purchased the 10 terabytes that I have right here. So that's something that you can use. And there's also Peak Cloud that have lifetime deals. And you can go with these, okay? And the next thing on the list is Outlook. And Outlook, you can use Outlook for free if you don't have the subscription, the Microsoft subscription. But if you use the free version of Outlook, the only thing is that they will include ads in the software, and so that's kind of annoying. But you can still use the free version. And if you don't like Outlook, then you can switch to another software, and one of these software is Thunderbird, okay? And Thunderbird is a free and open source software that you can use for everything related to your emails, okay? And then the next thing that I want to talk about is Microsoft Editor. And Microsoft Editor also has a free version as well. The only thing is that you'll have less advanced features, so you can still use Microsoft Editor. And so for me, it's not that big of a deal, so I'll probably still keep use it. or maybe I'll switch to Grammarly, which basically does the same thing, but you see there's a free version here, so you can just use the free version. So in my case, it's not that big of a deal, but that's what it is, okay? And then the next software on the list is Clipchamp. And Clipchamp is really, I think it's really great if you're a beginner to create and edit video, but I think that if you're a little more advanced user, at some point you're going to need a more powerful software, okay? So in my case, I purchased the studio version of DaVinci Resolve, and I'm having a great time with DaVinci Resolve, and I just think it's a very great software, okay? So that's something to look into. And then the last software that I'm going to talk about is, for me, it's a very important software, and it is OneNote, okay? And I use OneNote every day. I mean, I create notes every day. I journal a lot. So for me, I think I'm going to either go with Joplin here, okay, which is a free and open source software. So that's really cool. And the cool thing about Joplin is that you can encrypt all your notes. And so if privacy is important to you, then it can be a great software, okay? And another app that you can also use is Upnote. And Upnote is really great as well. And the thing that I love about Upnote is that it's there's a subscription, but there's also a lifetime purchase, okay? And so it's like $30 and you have access to it for a lifetime, okay? So I think this is really great. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this video. I hope that this video was helpful to you, and if this video was valuable to you, you could consider liking this video, subscribing to my channel, and if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them below because I will answer everything, and your thoughts could also be valuable to other people watching this video, okay? And you could also consider watching this video right here where I explain why I canceled my Adobe subscription, okay? But for now, that's it for this video. Peace.